Hello, I'm basically remaking a video I made a few years ago about why Goku won't be in Smash Brothers, and I just find it amazing how, even despite the fact that Sakurai himself, the director of Smash Brothers, said back in September 2020 that characters like Iron Man or Goku or slash any video game character that wasn't a video game character that didn't originate from a video game would be in, yet somehow these people, they still want to believe despite that evidence. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not a video game character. It doesn't matter. It's like some of the arguments that these people put forward, like, oh, but he's been in so many games and they've made so much money to the games. Okay, let's get for something straight right away. I mean, Goku's a big icon when it comes to anime, manga, and some of that stuff, but at the end of the day, he's not a gaming icon. I mean, here I have a list, a magazine of the biggest gaming icons, and look at that, Goku's nowhere on the cover, and he's nowhere in this magazine. At the end of the day, he's not a video game character, and simply because he has a lot of games means nothing. And it's probably a good thing that they don't get characters like that in the game either. I mean, at the end of the day, Smash is like the World Cup. And one of the rules of the World Cup is you can only play for the country you were born in. Which I think is a fantastic rule because, first off, if you could play for any other country, all they would start a bidding war. Everybody would try to buy the best players. And at the end of the day, it's not which country has the best players, but which country can get the best players. So you would have, all these countries basically bidding on who can get every player. And can you really say that your country has the best players when half your team is from another country? Do you see where this is going? And then it's like, you look at some of the characters that have been added to Smash that maybe might not have made so much money or haven't been relevant in years, like say Banjo-Kazooie. Would Banjo-Kazooie have even stood a chance to get in Smash Brothers if, say, Tom and Jerry were on the table, or Rick and Morty, or, some other popular characters like that? Just because it's you're popular and it now doesn't mean it's you deserve to be in this thing now. I mean, especially if you have no real video game history or anything like that. And I find it so funny, people, they say, but so many games. I'm like, so what? I mean, I know some of the people might find this hard to believe, but a lot of Dragon Ball games, just like a lot of Spider-Man games or Batman games, they've only been good recently. For the longest stretches of time, they were average at best trash. I mean, seriously. I mean, before Arkham Asylum, before the Arkham series, Batman games were average at best, hit or miss, nothing to write home about. Same thing with Spider-Man, before 2000, especially Dragon Ball. I mean, are you really going to take a game like Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22 on PlayStation 1 and put it in the same tier as, say, Ocarina of Time or Super Metroid or any other game that was big around that time, like Mario 64? I mean, you're not even in the same league here. That game did not shape its gaming as a whole. It's not they made Ultimate Battle 22 clones the same way they made Street Fighter 2 clones or Mortal Kombat clones. No, it was just merchandising for other things. That's what you got to remember about a lot of these licensed characters. Now, sure, some of them, say the Ninja Turtles, may have had some great games, but at the end of the day, that's not what they're about. And, people still make excuses based on some of the characters that I've been in, like, say, Lucario. Oh, Lucario didn't originate in the game, he was in the movie first. Never mind the fact that the Pokemon franchise as a whole, was part of, was a video game. It started out as a video game series, and everything else after that, the anime, the games, the card games, the card games or anything else, all that merchandise, that's all to advertise for the Pokemon games. So, Lucario being in the movie first was really just a sneak peek. Much in the same way Togepi being in the series before Gen 2 came out, was a sneak peek because they were working on it for the game. So the whole Lucario argument is just stupid. Another one you hear a lot about is the Rob argument. Say, well, Rob's not a video game character. He's a toy or whatever. He doesn't even have his own games. Okay, first of all, it's clear to me that some of the people that say stuff like that must be relatively young because they don't know about things like the video game crash of 1983 and how Rob was essentially a Trojan horse designed to help bring video games back to the market. I mean, first of all, he had two games, Gyromite and Stack Up, so he has games. He was designed to work exclusively with those games. His entire thing was those games. And the thing about Rob was that like I said, he was a Trojan horse to get stores to carry video games again. After the video game crash of '83, most stores, department stores, toy stores, electronic stores, did not want to carry video games. They did not want a bunch of crap, it's like on their shelves if it wasn't going to sell. And Nintendo used this thing, it's like to get them on the shelf so they could sell the system. And if it wasn't for Rob, there would be no North American video gaming market as we know it today. It would have probably pushed a lot of the industry significantly back. I mean, there would have been no Sega Master System and thus no Genesis at all. Mostly because it's like it was only named the Genesis in North America. In other places like Japan and Europe, it was known as the Sega Mega Drive. And the thing about the Mega Drive was that it was actually winning its console war in Europe. So it was doing a lot better there. And if it was doing a lot better without having the direct competition of Nintendo with the console war, they probably wouldn't have rushed the Sega CD, which wouldn't have forced Nintendo to work on their own CD, which eventually would, team up with Sony and Philips, which led to the creation of the PlayStation. And without that whole video game market, there'd probably be no Xbox today. And you're really going to say, oh, well, but Rob doesn't belong. Never mind the fact that, hey, it's a cool video gaming, character to have a robot and all the cameo appearances he's made in it. There's a great video by the gaming historian all about Rob. I'll probably add that to the links. Other arguments I hear about some of the other characters have included Captain Falcon, how allegedly he originated in an instruction manual, so that doesn't count. Never mind the fact that instruction manuals are part of the game. And it's like, especially back then, like when you bought the game, you read the instruction manuals. It gave you the backstory of the game. It told you how to play the game, the characters, the items. It gave you bios on a lot of the stuff in the game. And then for fighting games especially, that's how you learn the moves. If you didn't have an instruction manual back then, you were kind of screwed. You just sort of had to figure it out. Especially, maybe if you were lucky, you could buy like a Nintendo Power or a Game Pro that would give you the moves. But yeah, for the most part, it's like without the instruction manual, you were kind of screwed. I mean, some games you couldn't even beat them without the instruction manual, like Star Tropics. There's a code that was included on the manual. You had to dip it in water to get it. And here's another thought experiment, Right now, next time you get a chance, if you go to a used video game store, or hell, just go on eBay, type in any game from say the 90s. For example, a game like Super Metroid or Link to the Past or something like that. Tell me, which copies are worth more? The ones that just have the cartridge or the ones that come with the box and manual? Having the box and manual was part of the game. That's why they're worth a lot more, because you get more of it. That was part of the experience back then. You got a lot with it. And it's something people don't understand. You can tell, because people, especially the ones that game today, you don't even get an instruction manual most of the time. Unless you buy, some limited run, super special, limited edition thing. They might include that as a bonus. But yeah, so many stupid arguments. So one that's really popular right now is the Ridley argument, which annoys the hell out of me. It's well, he said Ridley was too big. Sakurai, he said Ridley was too big. He was too big. He was too big for Smash for Wii U and Smash for 3DS, as well as Smash for Brawl. I think you have to understand is in Brawl, Ridley was this huge boss character. I mean, you could it was almost as big as it's the Blue Falcon's jet thing. In the States, he was huge. And then, even in a Smash for Wii U, he was huge. He took up he was twice the size of most characters. And one of the things that people keep forgetting about Smash for Wii U and 3DS was that the Wii U version was essentially bottlenecked in power because they wanted to have the same roster across both games. The 3DS could not run the what do you call them? The Ice Climbers. Couldn't run them, so they took them out of the game. And some characters, transformation-wise, were split, so they basically took out the Pokemon trainer, and you just had Charizard. Other characters like Zelda, you know, were split up. Same thing with characters like Samus. Originally in Brawl, you had to use the final smash to unlock Zero Suit Samus. They split them up. There were things it's like that those games could not do, and Ridley was one of them. He just said it was too big, that Ridley was too big for those games. He didn't say anything about the U games. And at the end of the day, here's one of the huge things that I want people to remember about Ridley, is that unlike Goku, Ridley has always been, you know, in every Smash game. He was like background in the Samus stage in the 64. He was in the video on his little trophy in Melee, the Boston Brawl, and the Smash for Wii U. So him being in the game is like not the same as, say, Goku. Like, Nintendo always owned him. They did not need to talk to anybody to get the licensing rights. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, to get somebody like Goku, you need licensing rights. And a lot of these people don't understand how licensing works. At the end of the day, licensing is like when you own a car. Now, some of you maybe are young, or maybe you might remember when you were young, when you first got your driver's license, you probably didn't get a car. But, you know, you could probably use your family car, like your mom's car, your dad's car, and you could use that to go to a mall, a date, catch a movie. Remember catching movies? Oh, that was fun. Anyway, but yeah, you could use it for that. But here's the thing. You didn't own the car. So you couldn't lend the car to a friend, or dare I say, sell it to a friend, you know, without speaking to, you know, your parents or your guardians, as you know, the case may be. Your grandparents or whatever, or your uncles. Whoever owned that car, they were the ones it's like that could decide to sell it or lend it out. You couldn't. You could just drive it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's a lot of this is like in the case with like some of these games. Like for example, like you look at some of the characters that have been added in Smash. Like for example, Simon Belmont, Castlevania series. Who made Castlevania? Konami. Konami, it's like when they came out with the Nintendo 64 Classic and not the 64 Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic and the NES Classic, they had Castlevania games on there. They just had to talk to Konami, bam, here are the games. But they didn't have Ninja Turtles because Konami, despite making some great games for Ninja Turtles, didn't own that IP. That IP was owned, it's like, well, now it's owned by Nickelodeon, so they would have to speak to Nickelodeon about that. So that's why it's like, you know, the Super NES Classic did not have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time, despite that being like an amazing game, because they don't own that license. And it's much the same way with Dragon Ball. Like some people say, well, the Dragon Ball license is owned by Namco Bandai, and they help make Smash. They help make Smash, but it's not their license to give out. There's like other companies there that they would need to speak to, and that's just not going to happen. I mean, Nintendo has proven that they don't like jumping through too many holes, too many loopholes, it's like to get some of these things. Hence why the Classic didn't have any licensed games like Ninja Turtles, the NES Classic didn't have DuckTales or other Disney games made by Capcom, despite the fact that they were amazing games. And you know, it's one of the reasons why you don't see Sora in Smash, and the thing about Sora is that whole Disney angle makes it extremely complicated, which is one of the reasons I believe that they gave you Sephiroth. Like, next best thing, big villain. I mean, he has his own epic theme. I mean, come on. It's a pretty good alternative to Sora. Might not make everybody happy, but hey, it's something. And technically, it was in Kingdom Hearts, so there's that. And it just drives me crazy. It's like, you know, people keep trying to justify Goku being in Smash, despite the fact that there's like insane licensing rules that wouldn't allow that to happen. Coupled with the fact that if you add him in, you're basically saying you can add other characters in from other franchises. If you let Goku in, Naruto's next. Much in the same way that as soon as Snake showed up, Sonic, you know, had to be in. Sonic was one of the most requested characters to be in Smash. It's like before they allowed third-party characters. And if you do that, it's over for the video game characters. I mean, characters should be in Smash right now is Lara Croft. Huge video gaming icon. I mean, look at that. She's even on the cover of this book here. Like right there. Has a whole article in here. She's not in Smash yet. She'll probably be in at like some point or another. But what chance would she have if, say, Wonder Woman was on the table? Or somebody like that. Or maybe because of marketing reasons, Captain Marvel or something like that. Do you see how it takes away from the gaming audience and what makes Smash special if you take that away? I mean, a great character right now could be like Master Chief. I mean, without Halo, there'd probably be no Xbox. I mean, that was the reason to own an Xbox. People try to say, well, you know, they released Xenoblade on the Switch. That sold a lot of Switches. No, it didn't. You didn't buy it's like a Switch for Xenoverse 2. You didn't buy a Switch for that. That came out like almost a year later on the Switch. And why would you buy that game on the Switch like for $50, $60 when you can get it for $30 on a PlayStation 4? And you could probably buy a PlayStation 4 around that time for like $200. It's like, nobody is doing that. If you bought a Switch, you bought it to play Mario or Zelda or any of the other big games. It's like, you know, that are exclusive to it. I mean, everything else, it's like, is just a bonus. But, you know, you really bought it to play Mario Kart. And pretty much everybody who owns a Switch has Mario Kart in some shape or form. You didn't buy it for Dragon Ball. Fighter Z, you know, pretty big game right now. But it's like, again, by the time Z came out on the Switch, it's like, it was already on discount on the other systems. But even if they were like, okay, we look past the licensing and just the fact it's like that it clashes with the whole idea of Smash. Even if you had Goku in the Smash, he doesn't really bring anything new. I mean, he would basically just be a Ryu clone. I mean, you look at Ryu, he's already like the most Goku-like character in there. I mean, they even have the orange gi for him. And a lot of his moves would be like that. People say, oh, well, my Goku would be different. He'd have the Kamehameha wave. Oh, you mean like Zero Suit Samus back in the day, or Dark Samus? Samus like has a huge beam. A lot of characters, Rob, Lucario, have the huge beam. Nothing special there. Oh, he'll go Super Saiyan. Oh, what, like Supersonic? He doesn't bring anything new to the table. And the other thing you gotta remember is that if you put him in the game, he has to be balanced to work with everybody else. You can't just, put him in the game, expect to OP everybody. He might be faster than Ryu, maybe stronger than Ryu, but don't expect him to just be able to KO everybody just like that. Because if they do that, then it's like he's going to be banned from tournaments. And you honestly think that Nintendo would waste all this money, all of these negotiations, to get a character that then gets banned? I mean, they're not going to do that. At the end of the day, if you want to play as Goku, your options include make a Mii fighter, just squint when you use Ryu, make some backstory. It's like, oh yeah, he has a wig and he has a code name to get in. Or, I don't recommend this, mod your system. Or go play Smash Flash. Or one of those. Or Jump Force. Because he's not going to be in Smash. Yeah, well, I said what I had to say. You know, I'll counter any argument with that. You know, I still stand by this. I don't see it happening at all. And I'm pretty sure on it. Well, a lot of people think, but he's so highly demanded, it's going to happen. Just because something is highly demanded doesn't mean it's going to happen. Case in point, one of the things that everybody demands right now, like especially in America, is student loan forgiveness, or just have their student loans canceled, or things like that. It's like, yeah, no. You decided to take those philosophy classes in college and waste 4 years, it's like, of your life, but you've got to pay it off. Don't expect the government to. It's just not going to happen, you know. Like, sometimes you just got to face things the way they are. Well, have a good one.